Welcome back to the Playing Out Loud podcast. This is our second episode here in a relatively cold January. I'm not really sure what the temperature is anymore. We are in studio today with two fantastic musicians. They don't know each other though, right? Sam, I believe it is, and Laura. You don't know each other at all, right?
Wrong.
Wrong. How long have you both known each other?
Well, we've been playing in Manitou Winds together for 10 years, and I think that is where we met, isn't it?
It is, although I'd heard of Laura for years and years before then through mutual friends and through her work at the Leelanau School, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah. So for those that aren't familiar with these voices, we have the wonderful Sam Clark and Laura Hood here in studio today. So let's jump in. Let's just chat a little bit about your backgrounds. I'm going to start with you, Sam, in part because I'm just dying to hear about this flute episode. You first picked up the flute, which is the main instrument you play, in 6th grade in your hometown of Farmington Hills, Michigan. But you initially threw it against the wall. I'm just going to pause there. There's more to the bio, but I'm going to pause there. Do you remember what the inciting incident was that led you to throw a flute?
Oh, it's been ingrained in my memory forever. The flute javelin incident.
Javelin?
It happened because, for those of you who don't know or have maybe never tried or have tried to no avail, flute's an incredibly hard instrument to get a good sound out of because it's unlike anything else in that you're blowing across it like you would a pop or a beer bottle, and it can just end up being air. And I had tried and tried and tried, and I was frustrated at a very young age. And so, javelined against the wall. And it came out okay, though.
Did it puncture the wall, or did it just kind of flop against it? Or
if I remember correctly, yes, it dented the wallpaper and the drywall and back. So, my dad wasn't happy, and then my mom wasn't happy because she paid for the repairs. And here I am, this 6th grader, and I said, okay, that's it. Now I'm going to really try.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So the inciting incident created another inciting incident.
Yeah, more determination.
Yeah.
Well, it was either that or become an Olympic javelin thrower, so.
I guess we should probably say right now, we do not condone the violence against instruments. If anyone's listening, we don't support or condone that. I think Sam would agree as well at this point. Kids are going to be kids, but, we're not into the whole rock star, let's smash a guitar on stage thing.
Right. Definitely not. No Pete Townsend.
Yes. So after that, though, you got on a better relationship with your flute, and you haven't really put it down since then, maybe for little spritz here and there. But you went on to get your Bachelor of Music Performance at Alma College, and then you got a master's in business administration just to keep things real.
Right.
Very practical. Very practical. Alma College is well known for, it's still to this day, I think, for their music programs, choral and a handful of stuff.
It's become better known through the years. When I was there, I was one of, I think, 4 music performance majors.
Wow.
So it was a very small department, but the school itself, I think, is still only around 1,200 students. So it was great. I just got such a great education there. In fact, so great that I couldn't decide between natural resources, biology, or music. And I couldn't participate in both because the lab hours conflicted with the practice room hours and the private lesson hours. So because I knew flute, I just went with flute.
Yeah.
Not very smart because I knew I wasn't going to make it in the New York Phil or anything, but I loved it, so I did it.
And I think you would say it's probably paid off in hindsight.
Yes.
It was a good choice.
Oh yeah, it's a core. It's definitely a core of me.
Yeah. You have been a camp counselor at Interlochen Arts Camp for several years. You moved to TC permanently, though, in 1981. So were you at Interlochen Arts Camp as a counselor, like just for summers, and then thought, yeah, let's just do this, Traverse City, and you came up here in the early 80s.
Yeah, I came up here pretty much for Interlochen because I thought it would be such a perfect blend of my 2 loves, which were the out of doors and nature and the music and arts and theater. And I was a camp counselor for 2 summers, and when I graduated from Alma, I came up and was a camp counselor again, but then I worked in the Maddie building as a typist. There was a thing called a typewriter back then.
I remember those too.
Because I played flute, I was a pretty quick typist, so I was able to get into Interlochen a little bit more that way.
Yeah, that lines up because you would need to have some good dexterity, right? Between, there we go. Some things I would not have put together, but absolutely makes sense. So once you got here, though, you also joined the Benzie Symphonette. That's adorable, by the way. I've never heard symphonette. It sounds to me like little symphony.
Yep.
But now it's BASO, or as we know, the Benzie Area Symphony Orchestra, which you also play in, right, Laura?
Correct.
Yeah.
She's on the board.
Starting to see some crossover here. This is great.
And then Sam still plays once in a while when we need a substitute flute player.
Love it.
Yes.
You've also played with the NMC Concert Band, and your list of performing with local organizations is as the following, but probably not limited to. So you have the Traverse City Symphony Orchestra, which is now, of course, the TC Philharmonic, Lyric Opera, Leelanau County Players, Northport Community Band, and the West Side Winds. Anything else I've left out?
Well, a big one for me was the Encore Symphonic Winds or Encore Wind Symphony. Encore was always part of it. I was on the founding board of that, I want to say 1988, 1989. And it started as the NMC Concert Band and then evolved because there were so many musicians that wanted to play that we really needed a second community band. And NMC was not as big as it is now. There are like 90 players in NMC Concert Band. But Encore was also growing, and people would come from all over northern Michigan to play with Encore. And so I was on the founding board of that, and along with notable people like Jeff Haas was one of them. And so that had been a big part of my performance for many, many years. I took some time off to get my MBA because I had a job in Beulah, so I would commute from Beulah, which took a lot of time. So I didn't have the time to do it. In fact, I chose theater. I chose the Old Town Playhouse at that point in my life.
Yeah. And so segueing into OTP, you've been active there for over 42 years. You've done many things, including being on the artistic board. You've worked as the music director for 18 musicals and counting.
26 now.
26 now. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You have played flute and saxophone in the pit orchestras. You've apparently been on stage, which is news to me. You have also served as the music chair for OTP for about 15 years. And you have the honor of being in the Hall of Fame. So so when you say you started doing stuff at OTP Playhouse, you weren't kidding. That's really it.
Yeah, it's been, I can segue into so many things from this. I know we don't have any time, but yeah, it's been, you talk about a foundation. It really has been my life in Northern Michigan, and the community. Do you know what the OTP community is like? And the community, not only with the musicians that I've been able to play with over the years, but the Old Town Playhouse community is just vast. And I have so many. In fact, I met all my best friends there. And it just really is a foundation. I can't describe it well enough at all. Yeah, from everything from being on stage in musicals like Once Upon a Mattress and Evita, and I was in Chicago, which was so much fun. I can't even believe it. Dancing and fishnets and the whole kit and caboodle. But yeah, the fun that was to be had with that. And then straight shows too. I was in a show that my friend Terry Lawrence wrote called Rosenstrasse, and the history of that true story was really something to be part of. It was just such an honor. And then another one of my favorites was Les Liaisons Dangereuses.
Yeah, great
I got to be Michelle Pfeiffer and get thrown roughly to the floor.
Oh my goodness.
Things like that were just great memories and so much fun.
The flute would have been happy to have a little bit of,
True.
Full circle there.
Retribution. Oh my gosh, I never thought of that.
You weren't javelined, but you have been founding board member for Encore Symphonic Winds, and you've been their principal flute for at least 5 years now?
I'd say I've been back maybe 3 or 4.
3 or 4, something like that?
You know,
all right.
Time rushes by.
Yeah. So pretty well-rounded. Lots of things going on there. Is there anything, I guess, on your bingo card that you haven't done yet? I'm trying to think. Saxophone, flute. Are there other instruments you play?
I play Girl Scout guitar.
Girl Scout
Yeah,
guitar.
Laura's never heard me. She'd be
I didn't even know
embarrassed.
that.
Yeah, you want
This is great. The
kumbaya on your
secrets
girl.
are coming out.
There seems to be a theme this year of episodes where we are recording and learning secrets of each other. So
Yeah.
maybe we should rename it Secrets Out Loud Podcast.
Yeah. Well, and you were talking about piano earlier. Periodically, I've tried to play piano. In fact, it was supposed to be my secondary instrument at Alma. I failed miserably. So my piano instructor gave up on me, and we pretty much spent the whole lesson period just talking music philosophy and music therapy and
Wow.
things like that because I was so bad. And so I tried again as an adult. I took lessons from my friend Tony Barrow, and he didn't give up on me, but I gave up on me that time.
That's all right. 2 instruments is plenty.
Yeah.
Plus a little bit of acting on stage. So, that's a lot. Well, sort of speaking of guitar, Laura, I want to talk a little bit about certainly your background because I find it fascinating in so many different ways.
Yes.
But first, you served on the Leelanau School faculty for 31 years and you recently retired in 2024. Congrats.
Correct. Well, thank you.
What a long, wonderful career.
Yeah, it was really great. And we raised our children on campus, and the whole school community just became a family for our family. And
Yeah. It's
so
beautiful.
great.
If folks that are listening haven't been, I was lucky enough to get introduced to the Leelanau School because the Glen Arbor Players are now using the auditorium. And so Gene Jenkins shared that news. And so when I went to see the Kitchen Witch, which was adorable and so fun, we got to this beautiful campus and I thought, where has this been?
Yes.
Now, I'm not originally from Leelanau, so I wouldn't necessarily know that per se. But I just thought, what a beautiful little campus.
It is. It's an incredible
Yeah.
campus. And not a lot of people from Traverse City know that it's this little gem that exists in Leelanau County, and it's right on the shores of Lake Michigan. And then the
Stone's throw
Crystal
away.
River runs right through campus. And
Lovely.
yeah, it's
Really
pretty
lovely.
amazing. Mhm.
And while you were there, you were, I'll put this in quotes here, the whole music department.
Right. I was, the music teacher. Mhm.
Yeah.
In fact, when I arrived in 1993, there wasn't really a music program there. And so over the years that I was there, that was sort of my pet project, developing a music program that really fit the needs of the students that are there. And it's a very small and intimate school. So having, say, a big concert band was not necessarily an option. And so, as an instructor, you have to be really creative in those times.
Yeah. And you taught classes like, guitar classes, probably many different levels, small ensembles, vocal music, songwriting, the history of rock and roll, music theory and composition, and the physics of sound. I'm fascinated by both the history of rock and roll, because that sounds like a blast, and also the physics of sound. How does one teach the physics of sound? I have to ask.
Well, I co-taught that class, thank goodness, with the physics teacher.
Okay.
And so we talked about kind of the different ways that different instruments produce sound. The vibration of a string, or blowing across a hole like a flute, or blowing through a mouthpiece. And then we sort of dissected that into physics terms, which my co-teacher Cal Myers did all of that. And then because Leelanau School is a very hands-on education, then the students all had a chance to build an instrument that was an example of all of those physical concepts that we were studying.
Wow. I'm kind of jealous that those kids got to take a physics of sound class, because I never got to take that.
Well, it's a pretty unique class.
Yeah.
Yes.
Incredible.
I would say one of my favorite classes to teach, which I taught, I'm going to say maybe 15 years, was my songwriting class.
Yeah.
We sort of divided our time up between writing every single day and talking about different ways to write lyrics, and then also some basic music theory, and then everybody learned to play at least 2 or 3 new instruments, and then hopefully everybody came in maybe with knowing some piano chords or guitar chords. And
Yeah.
I taught that during winter term, which is a 6-week little semester that is from January through the middle of February. And so I had the kids all morning, every day. And so to have 4 hours with an intense group of students was really just the ultimate in teaching.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Intimate and close, and
Yes.
you really can take a deep dive
Yes.
as artists and learning, right? But also with the music and everything else. So that's
And I
incredible.
found, in songwriting, the discussions that came out and the writing that the students did was just so intense or incredibly funny. And it just was really, really wonderful as an instructor
Oh, I
to
love
see
that.
that.
I love that. So, in addition to all of that great stuff, you also play principal horn with Bazo. We've talked about this, Benzie Area Symphony Orchestra. And you play occasionally with the Great Lakes Chamber Orchestra and the Gaylord Symphony, as well as sometimes Old Town Playhouse. You have a bachelor's from Michigan State University in both French horn and a minor in guitar. So we'll pause there for a second. French horn and guitar, do tell how you would choose. I could see piano, that seems kind of, I don't know, foundational. And guitar, great, also probably foundational, but French horn and guitar. Tell us a little bit about how you got there.
Well, I grew up in a family of musicians. My father was a trumpet player, and my mother was a double reed specialist. And when I was in 5th or 6th grade, I started playing the trumpet and then sort of moved into the horn when I was in about 8th grade. And I really enjoyed the ensemble and, being a part of a big organization.
Yeah.
My guitar playing has always been much more for me. And when I was in older elementary school, about 6th grade, I became obsessed with classical guitar.
Oh.
And so I just played the guitar all the time. I can remember laying on the floor with the guitar on top of me playing and then just like falling asleep to my own playing of the guitar. And my mother taught music at Hope College, and they had a classical guitar teacher. And so I think he was a little reluctant to take on somebody who was in like 7th grade. But I studied with him through high school and a little bit through college. The people in Manitou Winds sort of know that my brain works very differently when I'm playing the guitar than when I'm playing the horn. Like playing the horn, it's very much I'm reading the music and sort of following the directions of a conductor or the other musicians. When I'm playing the guitar, it's definitely, sometimes I throw the guitar into an alternate tuning and I don't really even know what chords or notes I'm playing. And so then I'm trying to kind of translate that into more standard notation, for Sam to play on the flute or something like that. But it's definitely 2 different brains that I approach my horn and then my guitar.
Yeah, that's incredible. You're really like a, I don't know, musician's musician in a way. You're musician inception.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's a good description.
Wonderful. And you also are a member of the Manitou Winds, which we'll definitely talk about here in a little bit. And you play horn in a quartet called Horns of Traverse, or HOT for short.
I didn't know that.
I love that. So let's segue into Manitou Winds. So that's how you both met each other some 10 years ago. So when I say strangers, we're putting that really loosely. How did Manitou Winds start? How did this all come about, this great group that you're part of?
Our founder and creator, and I'm going to say genius because he really is, Jason McKinney, conceived of having a quintet, but not your basic Brahms playing woodwind quintet, because he plays a multitude of instruments and he composes and he arranges. And he wanted a vehicle for that, and he wanted to get to know more musicians, and he wanted the community of playing. And so he found most of us and brought us all together.
Wasn't it through NMC, the NMC band? Because
Sort of.
I just remember that conversation after a rehearsal. Jason and I were talking, and it's like, yeah, it'd be so great to create a quintet. And
Right.
were you playing in the band then, Sam?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
And he had a different flutist who didn't want to perform, from what he's told me. He just wanted to get together and play. And so she backed out, but she recommended me. And I didn't know Jason. I knew our bassoonist at the time through the Old Town Playhouse. She'd played for several musicals, and she was really good. But I didn't know Jason, and I didn't know Laura except by name. So it was one of the rare instances in my very careful life where I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I plunged right in. And from the first meeting at his house, which was a beautiful place to start, and my first playing with you guys, I just thought, this is absolutely wonderful. And then I found Anne. I recommended our clarinetist at the time. And so that was what began everything, I think. And there was no way I was going to give that up. It was quite a drive for me because the house was in Cedar, and I lived south of Traverse, and I worked in Beulah. So it was a triangulation, but it was so worth it every single time. I just left with joy because you guys were such a great fellowship, you know?
Well, and I think most musicians would agree that playing chamber music is kind of the perfect thing because when you're in a symphony orchestra, I mean, that's really exciting too, but you're definitely following a conductor's ideas of what the music is saying or what the music is about. When you're playing chamber music, you know, there isn't any one conductor. We all get to decide, and it is just the ultimate in teamwork and listening because there isn't anybody there giving you the beat. You have to hear that beat, and it also allows every musician to have this freedom of just really making their part their voice, and everybody else needs to follow along. So it's this real flowy give and take of music that, yeah, there's no necessarily one particular leader. Everybody gets to be a leader and have their voice within the music.
I love that.
Yeah. And exactly, Laura. And also the type of music that we played. As I said, it wasn't just Brahms, but we did play classical music quite often, the classical quintet. But we branched out into Gaelic, Celtic. Jason had such a fondness for arranging and composing folk music of Scotland, especially in Ireland. And all of that was just such a wonderful thing to branch out into the different instrumentations that we played. We just have a difference. We're not just a classical quintet.
I love that. Do you have any shows coming up the first spring or anything you can?
We finished our winter concert, and we just said, let's take a break for the holidays, and then we'll get together after the holidays and kind of decide what our next step is. But I would imagine that it will be late spring, early summer, and that's completely a guess.
Yeah.
We haven't had that conversation yet, but everybody is excited about beginning to put our next concert together.
I love that.
And Jason did move on. He's moving to Italy shortly. And we wish him the best of luck. And we miss him so much, but we have the fabulous Michael Bury playing oboe with us. So that's so exciting with his vocals and his talent. So we just have to, as Laura said, just have to get together and decide where we want to go, what we want to do next.
Where? Yeah. I've heard from many folks who are musicians that the holidays are the busiest time of the year. And so the last couple weeks or so are just a rest, rejuvenate, I'll see you in the new year kind of time. Because it is. There's lots of holiday concerts and shows and different things like that going on, which is all great. Everyone loves it. But, you know, and if you're teaching in any way, you take this time to really just unplug both the instrument and maybe your brain a little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
Enjoy some warm, cozy food, get outside if you can,
Right.
enjoy friends and family, and just be human without and the sort of attached instrument at that time. Yeah. Now you both have had a pretty long music careers, varied. What would you say you love most about your careers? So you've obviously done a ton. I'm sure you love all of it holistically, but are there any things that stick out to you, as a highlights that you can think of that just really resonate with you or that you love to think on every once in a while?
Yes. Yes. In general, it's the community. It's the bond. If you're a musician and you're playing in a large ensemble next to someone, you may not know if they have kids, the name of their partner, you may not know anything about them, but you know they play music. And even that just creates a special bond. It's just hard to describe. And you just feel like you're a family, even if you don't really, like in NMC, if I turn around and look for the trumpet section way back there, I don't even know who's playing back there, but I still feel connected to them because we're all connected in our playing. With OTP, it's a different, more intimate connection, I think, at least for me, because of the longevity. But there are also the one brief shining moments that really stand out for me. For instance, and Jan Dalton would hate to hear this, but he was in Camelot in, I think, the late 90s. I was music director. Jan was King Arthur. My friend Cinder Conlon designed the lights. And honestly, one of those one brief shining moments was at one point in the show, Jan was holding Excalibur aloft. He had this beatific expression on his face. Cinder's spotlight glanced off the tip of Excalibur just as we hit the perfect chord in the pit. And that moment that can never be repeated just stayed with me for forever since that. And I've looked for moments like that whenever I do a show, whether I'm playing, whether I'm on stage, whether I'm music directing. But that's what I love about music directing is the catalyst. The music director is the catalyst between the orchestra pit, what's going on stage, and it just kind of flows through, and it's magical.
And the audience, too.
Yeah, and the audience can feel it, yeah. And that's one of the greatest things about music or performing is that you're sharing not only your talent, but your talent connects with everybody else's talent, and it grows and magnifies and fills the room, and the audience can feel that. And that's what a real special thing about performing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to piggyback on what Sam was talking about. One of my golden moments was a couple years ago when you asked me to play for Beauty and the Beast. And I had known you, already for 10 years as a flute player, but I had never worked with you as the conductor.
You kept turning me down.
Well, yes. I had to wait for retirement to do that.
You did.
But all of a sudden, I was sitting in the chair watching you, Sam, and I was just blown away by your talent and the way you handle all of that. What was on stage, this group just packed into that. What's not a pit, but what do you call it? The loft. The loft.
Yeah, it's the loft
and the audience. You were so good. And it was one of those golden moments, that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Just seeing your friend, a musician that you've played with so much, do something completely new. It was new to me. And I just felt so, so proud of you. And
thank you.
It was just really great. Yeah.
This is the Feel Good Care Bear stare.
Yes.
It is so wonderful, though, to be able to see your friends, your colleagues, however you'd like to list them, in their element. Even if it is just that one little moment, the little Excalibur or whatever that is, and you're just like, this is it. This is so great. And you're kind of bursting at the seams for them, which is, again, such an integral part of community. Right. That's really the definition in a lot of ways of the community, is that interconnectedness and genuine joy and love that comes from seeing that person in their element. And we see it in such a beautiful, unique way in the performing arts. Whether you're a dancer and you see your friend just nailing that triple pirouette or whatever it is, right? Or playing music in a pit, or, singing a song, or telling jokes on stage, or whatever that is. And you see that, and you see the aha moments really, right, happening.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good aha moment.
Yes.
I love watching the light
Absolutely.
bulb be like, there it is.
Yes. Yeah.
This is 60 watt. Let's go.
Teachers live for those
Yes.
moments.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. And I bet you're probably really attuned to seeing those, like maybe more out even in public or other things. You're like, there's a lot of aha moments happening. Or
Well, and sometimes the aha moments are microscopic, but as a teacher, it's your responsibility to bring those out so that the kid or the student knows that they just had an aha moment, because sometimes they don't even recognize that if they're learning something new.
yeah.
So that's the job of a fine teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I also really love when I have a moment, especially playing viola. I go, ah. I make it known that I'm having a moment. Just in case anyone was concerned. Just, I got it.
Well, and I know in the brass section, it's probably the same with the woodwind section. We recognize, each other's aha moments, but you lift up your foot.
Yeah.
If you're in the back of the orchestra and somebody, down the row just nails something, then the whole section will lift up their foot.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
You didn't know that?
I'm going to start something in the woodwind.
We used to rub our feet on the floor, but even on, on the stage is a little noisy. So we just pick up our feet.
How did that get started?
I don't know. I've just always done
that's
it.
so neat.
I love that. I had no idea. I'm learning so much today.
Yeah, it's the secret little language in the back row of the symphony
nice.
orchestra.
Well, now I'm going to be watching and waiting. Are their foots lifting? What's going on? Speaking of horns and music, I'm going to ask probably the silliest question I've ever asked, but it is kind of genuine. Some horns have nationalities and some don't. Where did we get the French horn and the English horn? And are there Greek horns and German horns? I figured you might know, but I'm just kind of curious where this is not specific to you, obviously, but I was thinking about this as we were discussing, what y'all play, and I thought, I'm aware of a French horn and an English horn. I don't know if there's any other types of horns out there, but I'm curious if you have any thoughts or know why those are named the way they are.
Yeah. I mean, the French horn, a lot of people just call it the horn now because it's not really a French horn. The horn originated by being used in the fox hunt. Oh. And so that was more like a bugle, but it wrapped around your body. And so you could send messages to all of these people riding the horses, whether the message was, okay, on your mark, get set, go, do-do-do-do-do-do. Then everybody knew to go. If there were other communications that needed to happen, like we've lost the fox or, somebody fell and we need to stop, those were all given by different signals on the horn.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Huh. And I don't know why it's called the French horn. You think that I would know that, but really, nobody really calls it the French horn anymore. They just call it the horn.
But there's a difference between the English horn, right?
Oh, yeah. The English horn is a double reed instrument, very much like an oboe, and it's a little bit longer of an instrument. And so instead of being this is a little technical, but instead of being pitched in C like an oboe is, it's pitched in F. So it's a little lower and more of a mellow, woody sound.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's like the cello, I guess,
yes,
of the wind instruments.
Mm-hmm.
But it's called a horn, but it's not brass.
Correct.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
We are
it's
debunking
oboe-ish.
things.
Yes.
Right.
These are all the secrets. See, you have to change the name of your podcast. Secrets Out Loud.
Secrets Out Loud, yes. Well, thank you for clarifying that. I was thinking, what in the world makes the French horn French? And I don't think it's talking about foie gras or cheese or baguettes or things like that. It certainly doesn't look like a baguette. So
Although that would
And
be
an
cool
English
to make a
horn is-
baguette in the shape of a horn.
there we go.
Yeah,
Any pastry
just
chefs
try
in town
that.
listening, please.
Well, and an English horn is not really a horn at all.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a misnomer there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking like people often get bass confused. Like there's like the bass guitar, kind of a guitar, right? But then there's the double bass.
Right.
And then some people, well, what about a standing upright bass? There's a lot of these kind of things that float around, but you're like, it's the low end of the strings.
Yes. Well,
It comes in
and
different sizes and
for
whatnot.
different uses almost. It's the same instrument, but the electric bass and a stand-up jazz bass and
Yeah, all that fun stuff.
double bass for the orchestra.
Yeah. So I'd love to know a little bit, from you both about your experience, I guess, in this region with playing, whether, you've both played with a lot of different ensembles and things like that. Over time, has that become easier to play with more or the same ensembles, or have there been more challenges in any recent years? I'm thinking even post-COVID. I know COVID threw a wrench into a lot of things, right? But I'm just kind of curious, as we know, performing arts, especially music, is abundant in this area, and we're super, super lucky with that. But I'm curious, with the chamber ensembles or different pieces, like, have you encountered any challenges with that, or has it just grown and it's just become easier to be in those groups or find new groups or establish new groups? I mean, Manitou Winds it's only 10 years old. It's still kind of young comparative to others. But yeah, just kind of curious, based on your experience in the region.
Well, the Old Town Playhouse comes to mind, I think, most with the change because back in '02 or whenever, in 1984, when I first got involved with the Playhouse, the same pit band or orchestra played for every single show. We'd have the same personnel every single night. So there was this beautiful consistency, and we all got to know each other quite well, and we all played together better and better and better every night. And it was a wonderful thing. I think we only ran musicals 3 weekends back then, and it has been 4 weekends up until this year recently. But in recent years, it's become increasingly hard to find musicians to play in the pit consistently because there are so many opportunities now, as you were saying.
Yeah.
So many groups in town, so many places for us to perform and to play and to fulfill our community, to round out and learn new things always. So music directing for shows these days is a complete spreadsheet. You have to know who's in what seat when and what night, and if they're not there, it's his night to play. And when you have 13, 14 people in the pit, it's a puzzle. And so you have to logistically work out that puzzle and recruit people to play more. When in days of yore, there were always people really eager to be in the bands because that was a great place to perform. Like, for instance, this year, we didn't have any musicals this season that had horns or that had strings. Gentleman's Guide was last season, and that was the last show we had with strings. So it's very interesting not to give the string people that all of a sudden we found, people that really wanted to play in the pit, and violins used to be difficult to find. And now we have 2 or 3 or 4 that just love to play and want to come back. And the same thing with horns. Horns came out of the woodwork for Cinderella and for Beauty and the Beast, which were big, Disney popular musicals. And that was such a joy. But then all of a sudden this season, we didn't have that opportunity for horns to play with us. And so it's been very much a change through the years that now we have quite a few people that we're competing for, trying to get into the Old Town Playhouse, but also that we have people out there that want to come in, but only like for 1 or 2 nights during the run. So
it's a mix.
That's exactly it. It's a mix.
It's a unique challenge where the opportunity has doubled, tripled, maybe, for some folks to play in so many different places and have those different experiences. And then at the same time, that can be great for OTP, right, to find those new places. But it's different than having, let's say, a set band. If you say you have 15 musicians, 20 musicians, right? They're like, this is our core group, and this is who comes back, and we make sure there's something for them every year, or I don't know, however that works, right? two very different sides of the spectrum, and both good things. They're both good opportunities.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Consistency is great, but also
Yes.
new opportunities are great.
Yep.
It's kind of a funny
Exactly.
catch-22.
Yeah. It's a change, but they're both sides are wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's hard to commit to,
Definitely.
4 weeks in a row
Yeah.
of, when maybe a Wednesday rehearsal, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a
Saturday
matinee,
matinee.
Sunday.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's just a
It's a
huge
lot.
commitment, especially if you have a family and
Yeah.
a job outside of Old Town Playhouse.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you played in many pits? Like you mentioned a few so far, but is that a newer thing for you to play in more of a theatrical music pit?
I don't know if it's newer, but, teaching for 31 years and really my whole life, we live out in Leelanau County, and my whole life kind of went to the west every day with work. And so then I would get home from work and the kids are hungry and, they've got horse things and ski team. And so the thought of me driving into Traverse City to play in a show just... It didn't fit into my life for many years. And so, I would say I've probably been less active in Traverse City because of that. Retirement definitely gives me some open doors to be more interested in playing in Traverse City.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. And like you said, there are just so many things going on, and there are so many great musicians in this area, and people keep moving up into this area.
Yes.
Just fabulous, retired music instructors from all over the state, all over the country. And there is so much talent in this area. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Do you feel across both brass and woodwinds that there's kind of an equal balance of opportunity among like the instruments? I know with strings, we've joked on a couple episodes now that there's about 4 million cellos. And so, cello opportunities and violin, like abundant. Little harder for a double bass or viola. Maybe a net positive in that sense because you could be a part of maybe more ensembles and things like that. But is there an equivalent on the horn or woodwind side? Do you have any we have way too many flutes. Too many clarinets, man. I tell you
really
what.
think so. I think
it's pretty balanced.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, once you get past the javelin throwing stage,
Right.
the flutists, there are so many talented flutists in town.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's pretty balanced.
Well, that's good. It's a good. It's not to say that an imbalance is not good, but it is fascinating to think how did we get here?
Yeah.
Well, things aren't scored, for instance, for violas. I'm sure you know as much in the pit band, but there are plenty of musicals, the larger musicals, that do have parts for viola. And violas were always very hard to come by, Chelsea.
Yes, I've been told.
Well, and any symphony music, you might have 20 violins, but you might have then 2 horn players or 2 flute players and a piccolo player. Usually there's 4 horns, but, so fewer horn players can satisfy the needs of a symphony orchestra. That's where the bands come in for winds. It's great to have the encore winds and NMC band like we do because that gives so many wind players a chance to play really, really challenging and wonderful music and work with the wonderful conductors that we have in the area.
Definitely. There are so many. But speaking of encore, there is an ebb and flow to the balance, too. I would have never thought that we needed more trumpet players. But right now, encore is having a little bit of a difficulty, and I'm not sure why, getting the trumpet players in. So right now, we have more flutists than trumpet players, which creates a big challenge with the music that our conductor has to pick out, to be sure he's got the instrumentation that can round out the very difficult and wonderful pieces that he does pick out.
Yeah. I've heard great things about NMC in general, just of the music department. And it sounds like you both would agree with that sentiment. I've heard the jazz band is also where it's at these days.
Yeah.
Have either of you played with like a jazz? I don't know if that would have, if there's a jazz flautist.
Oh, goodness. Oh, my, yes.
Yeah, I know my brother played in jazz band when he was in high school, and aside of seeing jazz in New York City and things like that, I don't get around to seeing a whole lot of jazz in the area. I know Jeff Hostrio, that's on my bucket list this year to see and chat with them, of course. But yeah, just, I don't know, have either of you branched into any super dynamic ensembles like that, whether it's jazz or some other experimental?
I've tried. Okay, 2 stories. My partner is a very fine jazz trumpeter. And when we got together 18 years ago, I said, this is going to be great. I'm going to finally learn how to play jazz from Bill. And Bill, rolling his eyes, said, okay, yeah, and maybe I can learn how to read music a little bit better. Well, guess who can read music a lot better and has played in several pit orchestras for me. And Bill is wonderful. He's grown so much since I first heard him play trumpet. Sorry, Bill, I'm talking about you. And but guess who still can't play jazz? But I'm going to name names. There are 2, at least, fantastic jazz flutists in the area. One being the premier flutist of the area, Nancy Stagnita at Interlochen.
Okay.
She toured with Paul Simon recently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's just a fantastic jazz player. And she did a wonderful thing about a year ago now. She sort of laid her history out in a performance. And she started with classical and went to jazz in the performance and then into sort of funk. So she's just phenomenal. And it's a joy to listen to her breadth of experience. And then Laurie Sears is an amazing flutist. And she maybe is best known for her saxophone, tenor sax, I think primarily. Oh my gosh, she puts such feeling into her sax and her flute. And she is just a big inspiration for that goal to maybe someday play better jazz myself. But yeah, there are an amazing amount of jazz flutists. Hubert Laws, I'm on a flute forum through Facebook, and Luke Pinella, the technician who started the forum, is now repairing several of Hubert's very classy gold flutes with platinum. I've forgotten all the precious metals that are in his flutes, but he's still, performing. I think he's like 93 or something. And Rahsaan Roland Kirk was an amazing jazz flutist. He played nose flute also.
What is nose
You
flute?
pretty much stick like a recorder up your nose and play it.
This isn't secrets anymore. We've moved into the bizarre.
Yeah, it is. But there is such a thing. And I believe it's like an East Asian thing, maybe an Indian thing, to the foundation of it. I don't know enough about it. I've never tried it. So
yeah.
But yeah.
I'm just thinking in the winter, what a terrible idea in northern Michigan. Just perpetually.
You don't want to borrow anybody's instrument.
Yeah, we're playing the first 3 movements of norovirus out of our nose. Goodness. And have you played anything experimental in that kind of way? Or?
Well, we're talking about the world of jazz, and my grandfather actually was a big band leader down in the Muskegon area.
Okay.
And he wrote and arranged and composed all of the music for his band. My father played trumpet in that band, and I played electric bass in that band. So when I was in high school, I played bass with my grandfather's big band. And we used to play at like the Elks Club and the Moose Club, and quite often, I was for sure the only woman in the band, and most of the time I was just about the only woman in, the Moose Club and things like that. And plus I was, a 16-year-old high school girl playing the bass.
That's
so that's my
awesome.
that's my jazz
I love it.
experience.
Bodacious is what
Nothing
it is.
sense?
Not really jazz, but certainly a lot of like folk music. And, I've written some things mostly for the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
And guitar and voice, or guitar and flute and, Manitou Winds.
Original compositions.
Yes.
Things like that. I love it. Very well-rounded. You both have fascinating stories across many instruments at this point. So many great experiences. I want to wrap up with our rapid fire here. As we all know, oh my gosh, nail biting. They're so nervous. I promise there's no actual fire involved. So we'll wrap up here with our rapid fire, which is just quick questions. It's just whatever comes to the top of, your mind. For a lot of us, having a favorite of one particular favorite of everything is next to impossible, right? So it's whatever kind of comes to your brain. Rapid is apparently a loose term for a lot of folks too. We typically have some folks, although Gary did very well. I will say Gary Gatsky did this very well. It's just whatever comes to the top of your brain. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to give context. I might make a face at you, but our listeners can't see, so it's fine. But mostly because it's usually like something fun and surprising or something I've never heard of. But that's kind of the point. It's 5 questions. It's the same questions for both of y'all. So I'll ask the first question. We'll just go boop, boop, and we'll just move on. All right?
Okay.
Feeling good?
Yep.
Feeling confident?
Yep.
Not even. All right. First question. Favorite classical composer?
Tchaikovsky.
Nice.
Aaron Copland.
Yes.
All right. Favorite theatrical music piece to play?
The overture of Merrily We Roll Along by Sondheim.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Sondheim for life.
Someday I hope to be able to do that. Old Town Playhouse.
Gosh, I don't know. West Side Story?
Love that music. Dream music space or performance place to play?
I lived up in, I'm just going to say the Uperdome.
The Uperdome.
Yes,
Whoa.
because I lived in Marquette and my husband was one of the night managers for the Uperdome. And I remember one night I got out of a rehearsal and he wasn't quite ready to leave work yet. And I stood in the middle of that Uperdome and played my horn. The echo was long enough that I could harmonize my scales with the echo coming back to me. So the Uperdome.
Uperdome.
That's cool.
Amazing.
Okay, well, that gives me mine.
Okay.
Mine was an ancient medieval cathedral somewhere in Scotland. When I was 16 years old, I toured with Musical Youth International for 5 weeks over in Great Britain. And we played Elsa's Procession to the Cathedral by Wagner. And it starts with a flute solo and it ends with the huge brass chord. And the whole band is playing this chord. Well, the chord, we all put our instruments down. I swear the chord stayed up in the ceiling of this cathedral with the molding old medieval flags up there. And it was bizarre. And
Amazing.
That was the same thing. It was an acoustics thing.
Amazing. Favorite performance ritual? Something you do before, like backstage, or something you do to get ready before you perform?
Deep breaths and long tones and octaves.
Okay.
Make sure all of my guitars are in tune.
Tuning seems to be important. And then favorite thing to do in Michigan outside of the performing arts?
Oh, gosh. Hiking, kayaking, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Camping.
Same thing. Mountain biking, swimming, paddleboarding, anything with water.
The great outdoors.
Yeah, you're talking to two very outdoorsy people.
Love it. Wonderful. Well, that was a great round of rapid fire. You both survived. Yay!
I need some water.
To drown out the fire. Thank you both so much for being on. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you both. We could be here for a long time, but we have learned so much. Our listeners have learned so much about rituals and what y'all do and the Manitou Winds and all these great things that are happening, continue to happen. So many opportunities. So thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for having us, Chelsea. That
absolutely.
was
It's been a pleasure.
Yay!
Yeah, you're awfully wonderful host. Thank you so much. It's an honor.
Thank you.